Hi, it's Mike Chen. North Korea has built a massive reputation in the international community as an isolated hermit nation where they have literally and figuratively built walls to keep people from looking in and unfortunately also keep people from leaving its extremely harsh government. It therefore comes as no surprise that thousands of North Koreans have made attempts to cross borders and escape to their freedom even at the risk of losing their lives or loved ones in the process. To date, there have been thousands of North Koreans who have successfully found a sanctuary in different countries such as China, Thailand, and the US. However, their stories come with plenty of tragedy, as many who have gone public to share about the brutal communist regime tell stories of their families paying the price of their defection. Wives and mothers being sent to labor camps, and husbands and brothers being tortured and publicly executed for their so-called crimes against the state. These defectors have gone to great lengths and endured a lot to flee the borders. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 10 ways how many North Koreans managed to escape their country. Number 10, the Chinese border. To North Koreans, exiting the country through China is the easiest option of escaping because unlike the extremely fortified and guarded border in the south, its northern border adjacent to China is less patrolled by armed officers or dotted with landmines. To some, this is the only way out of North Korea. However, crossing into China is not without its complications. In one case, the option of chain defection is the only way to ensure that families are kept together. What happens is that a member of the family first crosses the border. If he or she is successful, he or she then needs to immediately find what is called a broker in China to help in securing his or her family's safety and crossing the border before the North Korean government gets to them first. Another option is to basically bribe the border guards to have them turn the other way as you cross. This carries a lot more risk because there's no guarantee that a border guard will let you through even after you pay the bribe. Most defectors who do choose to cross using the North Korea-China border usually time their escape during the summer when the Tumen River's level is low and safe to traverse. Alternatively, some choose to cross during winter when the water is frozen solid. Number 9, the Yellow Sea. Freedom seems so near, yet so extraordinarily far to achieve by North Koreans, given the gravity of penalties and punishments that wait for them and their families should they fail. Next to the Chinese border, the other logical border to cross is down south, but in order to avoid getting shot by the guards or blown to bits by mines, many North Koreans make use of the Yellow Sea to reach South Korea. However, the danger in crossing the Yellow Sea comes in the form of the North Korean Navy, who will not give any second thought to launching a missile or two at any civilian water vessel attempting to make its way into the south. Few attempts to cross the Yellow Sea have been successful though by individuals who brave the waters itself by swimming, something that not even the most eager Navy officer can spot. But while many brave souls try to swim this relatively short distance, quite a number of them have tragically been killed by the waters themselves due to drowning or hypothermia. Number 8, the Laos-Burma-Thailand path. Of course, we all know that China keeps a very solid relationship with North Korea, and any North Koreans found to have illegally crossed into Chinese territory is immediately sent back to face either a prison sentence or death, which is why many North Koreans who choose this route do not stay in China. Rather, once they have successfully crossed the border, they would then have to quietly make their way to Laos, whose border connects to China and Burma. Once defectors have made it to Laos or Burma, they are then transported to Thailand, where despite not being documented as refugees, the Thai government gives a degree of leniency towards them and not hand them back to North Korea. In Thailand, defectors are then met with aid groups who will help them process whatever documents they need and finally get them safe passage into South Korea. Number 7, aid organizations. The international community and non-government organizations stand as bastions of hope to many North Koreans wishing to escape their duress. For example, there are a number of Christian missionary groups working side by side with other humanitarian organizations to help North Koreans find refuge in friendlier countries, most especially South Korea. Non-denominational organizations also exist, such as the US-based Liberty in North Korea or LINK, but no matter which group or organization, the objective remains the same: rescue North Korean defectors and refugees and make sure that they do not get deported back, which is why many of these groups keep close relationships with different partners as well as underground organizations that keep them updated on one of the greatest humanitarian crises of our time. Number 6, the Sea of Japan. Now, large bodies of water surround the Korean peninsula that offers an enticing way for North Koreans to escape. Though many choose the Yellow Sea as much closer path to South Korea, its heavily guarded maritime border make it much more of a challenge to traverse. And northward, defectors choose to cross to Japan by its namesake sea and then find passage to South Korea. Taking the Sea of Japan, however, requires a boat, which increases their risk of being gunned down by the North Korean Navy. But those who do make it to the shores of Japan are not deported by the Japanese government. Instead, they are given the opportunity to safe safely continue their journey to South Korea. Number 5, the Olympic team. The right of an average North Korean citizen to travel abroad is severely limited by the North Korean government, and any person who tries to travel is subject to interrogation from government agents. Essentially, the right to travel is only granted to top members of the Communist Party and the military, and occasionally it's sports teams, especially the North Korean Olympic team. But this option to defect is a lot trickier and requires a lot of work involved because you have to get into a sports team and make sure that your team qualifies to join the Olympic Games. Even when you and your team make it, you are under heavy escort and your movements are closely monitored by North Korean chaperones. But generally, it is relatively easier for a North Korean Olympic athlete to defect if he or she manages to slip away from their escorts, since many of the host nations of the Olympic Games have democratic governments. But escaping when the games are in China probably won't do them much good. Number 4, foreign labor missions. One of the ways the North Korean government keeps its finances from being depleted is a state-controlled foreign labor mission program that sends its workers to countries like China and Russia. Also, it is estimated that 45 countries around the globe benefits from this program, including members of countries of the European Union. Sadly, many of the laborers sent to work abroad suffer inhumane conditions from which a number of them die. However, those who do find a way out manage to successfully defect with little opposition, since there usually are no spies or armed escorts watching their every move. Number 3, and this is really risky, the DMZ. Oftentimes, it is the desperation to escape to freedom that drives many North Koreans to brave the infamous DMZ, or demilitarized zone, that sits on the border of North and South Korea. With a large contingent of troops stationed on both sides of the border, the 150-mile fortification is one of the most dangerous places for an average North Korean to cross. Because not only does the DMZ have trigger-happy guards on the North Korean side, it is also dotted with landmines and is surrounded by high-voltage fences. Ironically, many defectors are actually soldiers of the North Korean army who have used escape routes through the DMZ to South Korea. And to anyone who does manage to cross the DMZ alive, South Korea usually grants these individuals citizenships or provide them sanctuary to make sure that they do not return to North Korea and face execution. Number 2, the North Korean Diplomatic Corps. Even though it is a hermit nation, North Korea still ensures that its presence is felt around the world through its embassies and its diplomatic corps. Unfortunately, North Korean embassies are known to be in poor shape since the home government directs them to be self-sufficient and self-financed one way or another, which has led to some embassy officials to be arrested in some countries for committing crimes while taking advantage of their diplomatic status. Like being in the North Korean Olympic team, being a member of the diplomatic corps opens a wider door for defection. Over the years, many high-level North Korean diplomats have left their posts and defected with their families, such as one individual in 2006 where a diplomat and his family were able to defect to South Korea from the United Kingdom. Another incident in 1997 involved a North Korean ambassador to Egypt defecting to the US. Finally, number 1, student exchange programs. A lot of people may not know, but 1 in 5 North Korean defector is a child. Most of the time, they are small children who are not even at the age where they can start schooling. But those who are of age to enter school have a unique kind of opportunity to escape the repressive regime. Like many countries, North Korea does offer a student exchange program where North Korean students are given the opportunity to be schooled abroad and vice versa. Although I don't know who would actually send their kids into North Korea. But while North Korea is the least popular destination to get education, some students from China opt to give it a shot. On the other hand, North Korean students who do get approved to study abroad have been known to not return to their country and instead seek refuge in the country where they are studying. But unfortunately, if the North Korean student does manage to defect, he or she puts the lives of his or her beloved ones in undeniable peril or imprisonment or facing death, which of course is a terribly high price to pay for the freedom they so desperately deserve. Of course, North Korea is kind of dominating the headlines right now with their ridiculous threats to basically ignite World War III, and no one should be surprised as to why their citizens want out of the Chem 3 fat regime. So to all those people who are trying to get out of North Korea, which I feel like is the majority of their citizens, I really do hope they succeed. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you later.